Hey guys, Mo Morales here, and I just wanted to have a real quick talk with everyone about my feelings on the XT50. This is a non-technical review. I'm outdoors at a park, so I apologize for any noises you may hear along the ways. But I've had this camera for a few months now, and I wanted to bring you up to speed on how I feel about the camera. Again, this is not a technical review, but I definitely have loved using this camera more than any other camera I've used before. Now, I'm still technically in a honeymoon phase, right? So that could change in about 3 months, a month, next week. Who knows? New Jersey drivers, they want to blast their engines. But let's talk about the things I definitely love about this camera. Owning the XT2, 3, 4, 5, the XT20, and the XT31 and the XT30 version 2, this has to be, oh, and I did own both SS10s and 20. None of those cameras moved me to keep them that long. So I kept the XT3 and the XT2 probably longer than any other camera. I've purchased the XT2 multiple times because it's just a great sensor. The XT5 I've kept the longest of any of my Fuji cameras because it's my work camera now since I've let go of my full frame Sony setup I used to have. So I've kept that just for work purposes in case any work comes up or anything on things along that line. But I've also have really enjoyed using that camera. That was my previous favorite Fuji camera. It just something about its body design and the way it felt in the hands. But even with that camera, I ended up buying a small rig grip to accent the way I held it. But this is now my favorite Fuji camera so far. Its grip has been so wonderful to the point where I've not even thought of purchasing a grip or anything to extend it. While it doesn't fit 100% in my hand, there's something about this deep grooved grip that just makes me enjoy holding it. It's what Flashy Carter calls, it feels good in the hands. Ladies, you know the procedures. But the other thing I did not know how I was going to react to it was the film simulation dial. I've never been big on recipes, only because just never delve into them. Not because I don't believe in them, I just never dove into making or following recipes. So I did love Fuji's film simulations since the beginning of time. And I love the fact that this little button allows me to preview what I'm going to see. And I found that that's the way I've been using this button. This switch, I will say. That when I'm looking at a certain image that I'm composing through the viewfinder, I will switch the film simulation to see what I want. Do I want it to be, toned down a little bit? Do I want the colors to pop? Do I want it to be in black and white or something along that line? And that is definitely how I've used this dial more than any other thing, to see what I'm going to get and either go back to what I started with or to go ahead and switch without any problems. The other thing I like about this setup here is the instant auto access, which other Fuji bodies have, where you put everything on A and you're on auto, or if you have the drive mode specifically for auto. But this is the first one I've used on a regular basis, or just flip of a button and I'm now in automatic. Now the only problem I found with auto, and it could be the lenses I'm using, because I'm not using top of the line Fuji lenses. I'm using either older model lenses, Sigma lenses, or Viltrox lenses that were not designed to optimize this setup. And this Fuji one that I'm using here is the 18mm f2, which we know has it's a little long in the tooth, shall we say, but I think it's the perfect complement to this camera. But anyway, the problem with going into auto with these lenses is it just takes a second for it to process. Now, it may not be the lens itself, it could be just the processor, but watch, listen to the click, and then I'll tell you when the process is done. Still, now. So it took all that time between the click and the now for it to process the photo. It blacks out the screen and it goes into processing, a spinning wheel. Here, listen to it again. No. Good. Now it's finally finished. So I think that's been the only hindrance when I go into auto, is that I know it's going to slow me down to a small degree. Other than that, having the ability to quickly jump it into auto, hand it off, has been a blessing. One thing I don't like about the top dials is the exposure compensation dial. And this is not specific to this camera, the X-T50. This is specific to other Fuji cameras and other camera brands in general that give you a compensation dial without a locking mechanism, where I will start at 0, and then by the end of my shoot, or later on in the afternoon when I've been shooting, I'm at a +2, a -3. It's just easily bumpable, and even though you hear it's clickable, it's happening incognito super ninja style, where I don't notice that I've bumped the button. I do like the way the command dials work on here. So if I press the front dial, it'll give me aperture control on a non-Fuji film lens, or a lens that doesn't have an aperture on it. And if I tap it and hold it just for a split second, it will give me the option to adjust my ISO. So it lets me keep moving and working things forward. And obviously the back dial I have it set to shutter speed for when I'm, not in shutter compensation either. I think that for the most part, this camera has been easy to work with, and like I said, I've really enjoyed using this camera more than any other camera in the first few months that I've ever had. Now, there's things that I don't like, but I'm not going to talk about those, because until I take the time to learn this camera better, I have been using it as a run and gun, pick it up, grab it and shoot it, and troubleshoot anything I run into as I get to it. So I've not sat down and read the manual. I've not sat down and watched a Maven video going into a 2-hour breakdown of how this camera works. So there's a lot of things that this camera can probably do that I'm not aware of, or there's certain things that I might be doing that are counterintuitive to how Fuji wanted me to do it. So the things I don't like, I'm just going to say off the bat, is the slow auto processing, and that's about it. Everything else, I think, is something that can be adjusted once the user takes some time to learn his camera better. But this is a fun camera. This is a pick up and go camera. This is not a camera I want to take the time to learn how to use. I want to let it do the work for me. It has not gotten in the way of anything I've tried to do, and it kind of just feels like I put this little slim kit in my pocket, in my bag, and I have a great camera with me, and I'm ready to rock and roll at a moment's notice. So let me just take this next few minutes here to show you a lot of the great pictures I've captured using this camera, and then we'll bring it back to wrap it up. Because like I said, this is not a technical review. I just wanted to tell you my initial thoughts on this camera after using it for a month or two here. All right, so to wrap it up, this is again my favorite camera to use in the first initial honeymoon period. Will I stop loving it in a month or two? I don't know. But I definitely love, like Omar Gonzalez, you guys are familiar with Omar Gonzalez. He's always said comments about how he doesn't like the way Sony cameras look and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, bro, it's a camera. But having this charcoal gray camera, it is such an effing beautiful camera. So I can finally understand where Omar was coming from about the beauty of a camera. This camera is beautiful, easy to use, lightweight, it doesn't get in your way. And I think everyone should at least give it a try if you're not already owning an X-T50, an X-T30, X-T20, and you're thinking about moving up, or if you're looking for a fun camera to have. This might be the one you guys want. All right, thanks a lot. That's all I wanted to talk about today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Until next time, it's been Mo. Stay strong, stay positive, always love, respect the beard.